You're listening to the Spark Radio Network. Radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the Rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree hugging, hippie, free to be you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Well, good afternoon, Philadelphia. This is Rick Robinson. I'm coming to you live from WNJC 1360 AM, the Powerhouse. And it's been a while since we've been with you. Got a lot to talk about today. So in case you missed the memo, let's just pack it up and go home. Tuesday was the New York primary. Donald Trump pulled off miracles of miracles, and he won his home state. Gasp. And now all of a sudden everybody thinks the election's over. Just over. It's done, man. There's no way. Now, I want to put this in perspective for those of you, and I know that we probably have some Trumpers that listen to the show. I'm not sure why at this point, but I know you're there because I get emails from you and nasty grams on Twitter and everything else. Now, that being said, I know math is sometimes a little hard for you guys to comprehend, so let's break this down just a little bit. There were 5% of the population of the state of New York voted for Donald Trump. That means 95% of the man's home state, 95% of the man's home state told him to F off and die. Can we just let that sink in for a second? Just take a second and let that wash over you for a second. Because if you do what I used to do and you listen to folks like Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity and Michael Savage, this election has been a foregone conclusion from the beginning because, oh my God, somebody as magnanimous and as philanthropal, and that's not even a word, but you know what I'm trying to say, as Donald Trump it threw his hat in the ring. It was a foregone conclusion. The scary part about that is I have a clip that we're going to open with today. There's a saying, I don't know for those of you how many of you are history buffs that listen to the show, but there's a saying called past is prologue. Does anybody know what that means? This might actually help illustrate that point a little bit. The following clip is actually courtesy of the Blaze Radio Network.
The answer told by lines that stretched around schools and churches, by people who waited 3 hours and 4 hours.
People sometimes wait in line for 7, 8, 10, 12 hours.
For all the work that you are doing for women all across the country.
Planned Parenthood does a really good job in a lot of different areas.
You guys keep on manipulating your currency. We are going to start shutting off access to some of our markets.
China is ripping us on trade. They're devaluing their currency.
What we need to do is to just be better bargainers.
We have to be smart, and we have to use smart people to negotiate.
We'll put people back to work rebuilding our crumbling roads and bridges.
To fix our roads, our bridges, and all of the other problems.
Tell the lobbyists in Washington that their days of setting the agenda are over.
So I don't have to take donors and special interest people and lobbyists.
The same special interests that have come to dominate our politics.
My special interest are the people of America.
Fighting to reduce the influence of money in politics.
And I'm totally self-funding my campaign.
And curbs the waste and inefficiency
Waste,
with the money.
fraud, and abuse.
No amount of waste is acceptable.
Tremendous waste.
Social Security is solvable.
I'm going to save Social Security.
To help middle-class families.
We're going to rebuild our middle class.
My feelings about this are constantly evolving.
I've evolved on many issues over the years.
What I do oppose is a dumb war.
The war in Iraq is a big, fat mistake.
Now, for how many months have I been saying to you that Donald Trump is the anti-Obama? We are watching our side and have been watching our side for months behave exactly as the left did in 2008 and again in 2012, and no one is calling them out for it, save a few of us with what are still considered smaller voices trying to get the point across that people really do not pay attention to what is going on in our country right now. This clip made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, so much so that I was actually late doing a show last night because of the fact that I was getting this ready for that broadcast and decided to use it here as well. But my point to you is this. This clip, this 1 minute and 33 second clip, illustrates everything that all of us that are part of the Make America Sane Again movement and the Never Trump movement have been trying to say for weeks and now months, and it does it in 1 minute and 33 seconds in a way that is so easy to see that it should make everyone stand up and pay attention. I don't think it's going to, but it should. Because regardless of what the folks in the bigger political talk radio circles tell you, this election cycle is not over. Yeah, so what? Donald Trump won his home state. Big whoop. Cruz won his home state by an even bigger margin. If you take population size into account and the fact that Cruz won the last caucus that he was in by a much larger margin than Trump just won New York. And 95% of the people in the state of New York gave him the finger. I mean, I just want you to let that sink in. These folks that get paid to tell you what to think and get paid to try to make you angry so that you keep listening to what they think you need to hear because you're angry, and by God, you're going to tune in because they're feeding that anger. They're doing this to you on purpose. And we're letting it happen. Look, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know, if it comes down to it, who is actually going to be worse, Hillary or Trump. But I can tell you from instinct, from gut reaction, that Trump is going to do so much more damage to this country than Hillary ever possibly could. And it terrifies me. But I honestly don't know if we're going to get to that point. Because, look, I mean, you just heard a minute and 33 seconds of everything that Obama said to win the election the first time. Trump is mirroring the exact same things. So does that mean it's going to work for him? I honestly don't know. What I do know is that he is not what this country needs right now. And I'm so tired of hearing all of these people talk about the mandate that he has and everything else that he holds and how it's everybody else's time to get in line behind the front runner. Look, he does not have a majority yet. And by my count, it's going to be nearly impossible for him to get one, thanks to Kasich staying in the race. Now, you can like Kasich, you can lump Kasich, you can think that he's probably going to be better off as the next postmaster general than he ever would be as president or vice president. Yes, that would be me waving my hand right now, or raising my hand right now, but you can't see it, because there's no way the man would ever make anywhere near the president that we need right now, or even the vice president. But the simple fact of the matter is, everyone after Tuesday night was acting like this was a foregone conclusion. The simple fact of the matter is it's not a foregone conclusion, and it's not like Trump pulled off something that was completely earth-shattering. He won his home state. There's only been one person in this election cycle, or now I guess two technically, but by the time we got to Florida, I think Bush was already out. But Rubio was the only one of the four that were still in the race at that time that didn't carry their home state. So should we be patting Trump on the back because he managed to win his home state? And, you know, for somebody who keeps talking about how he's galvanizing the right and bringing more and more voters out, I didn't see it Tuesday night. I saw 5% of New York say, yeah, maybe. And here's the thing. If you listen to folks like Sean Hannity, and I really don't that much anymore, I give him maybe 15 to 20 minutes a day, usually when I'm on my way home from work and I got nothing better to do, because the other station around here spends way too much time on local stuff, and I'm sorry, I'm a national politics kind of guy. That's why I don't work for a local radio station. But that being said, if you listen to Hannity, all I've heard him say for days now is how the whole Colorado system and the Hawaiian system and pretty much any system that had a caucus needed to be dealt with. Because, yes, he agreed that states should have the ability to make their own decisions as far as how they elect folks, but they should be limited in the choices that they should make. They should all have primaries. They should not be able to have unbound delegates. And this is the same guy that tells you almost anytime you hear him open his mouth that he's for freedom. And I'm going to tell you the same thing that I've been saying now for weeks, and it's one of the things that I've been getting ridiculed for. For everyone who has been making a big old flap about this Colorado incident and everything else that's been going on, I only have one thing to say. You guys were the same ones that when it came to gay marriage and legalization of marijuana and everything else, you guys were the first ones screaming states' rights for all of it. And now there's a state that has an election policy that you don't necessarily agree with and you think they need to change it. That's not up to you. Yes, I understand the Republican Party is not a part of the state government. Not as far as the GOP itself. So I understand that it is a private entity. But still, unless you actually live in Colorado, and you work in Colorado, and you vote in Colorado, you don't have a say in how Colorado elects their people. That is not your right. And if you think it is, then you're living in the wrong country. Now, we're going to change gears just a little bit because we're going to change gears and actually, because at this point I'm really, really tired of focusing so much of my energy on Trump. I think it's about time that we change gears and start talking about the other side of the equation. Now, to do that, for those of you who may not know, I have a weekly segment that we do on the home network, and occasionally I will bring it over here. It is A Day in the Life of Hillary Server, and it's basically satirical emails that are written by Eric Williams of barbedwiresatire.com. Well, unbeknownst to me, he had a parody that if I had known it existed, it would have been part of the bit for the entire time. But it is completely awesome, and it is actually written by him and sung by Al. You may recognize Al from the Third Rail Ramblers, the resident parody band of K98 Talk and Game On with JD and Stacy and the Spark Radio Network. But so I was just informed this existed, so I'm going to actually play it for the first time ever for America Off the Rails right here, right now.
Slinky girl, the kind you don't want for commander-in-chief. She will never let her guard down. Says it's her turn to be leader. Oh, girl, she likes her emails to be secret. She says it's none of your damn business. When she makes her move to conceal it, Miss Half-Time. She's never done no wrong. Oh no. That girl is pretty brave now. The girl's a super sneak. The kind of girl you vote for. Liberals are so weak. That girl is pretty sleazy. The girl's a super sneak. I'd really love to trust her, but I'm not that weak. She's not right. Not that bright. That girl's not right with me. Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. She's a super sneak, she's super sneaky, yow. Jinsaki sings, super sneak, she's a very special girl, above the law, you know. From Benghazi to her email, servers out of sight. And she'll keep her emails hidden with Kim Wiener in her mansion, stashed in Chappaqua. What difference does it make, she says? But Trey Gowdy, he'll be waiting. She testifies and he will grill her in the hot seat. It's such a freaky scene. That girl is pretty sneaky. The girl's a super sneak. The girl should be arrested, 5 to 10 at least. That girl is pretty sleazy. The girl's a super sneak. I'd really love to jail her. The girls would love fresh meat. She's not right. Not that right. That girl's not right for the presidency. Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. She's a super sneak. She's super sneaky, yow. Bill Clinton sing. Oh, super sneak. Hillary's a super sneak. Oh,
right, folks, first time ever on America Off the Rails. That was Super Sneak. And hang on, they're trying to play another one. Are you ready for that? There we go. Okay, sorry, I forgot that particular file likes to roll on to the next song is queued up, and we weren't quite ready for that. All right, so that was Super Sneak. That was written by one Mr. Eric Williams and performed by Al from the Third Rail Ramblers. So still technically part of the Parody House Band. There's been a change in the writership. Beaker does most of the writing for the parodies now. Eric, though, you and Al should get together and talk. That was pretty cool. I don't see any reason why you and Beaker can't both put out awesome songs, because you are both great at that type of stuff. And just wanted to say it's been an honor and a pleasure getting to know all of you that have started not only as fans of the show, but now have found ways to contribute to the show. That has been one of the most amazing things for me, is watching the rest of you with your own natural talents finding ways to make a difference with the show. And it's just been entertaining to watch and complete and total blast. Now, what we're going to do next is a little bit different, I think, if I can find it, but we may wait until we actually come back from the break, because we are getting pretty close to that time. So let's spend, before we go to break, let's spend the next few minutes actually talking a little bit about Hillary, because there have been some rumblings on the left. I don't know if you guys realize this, but the folks that like Bernie Sanders completely despise Hillary Trump. Did I just say Hillary Trump? Yeah, actually, I did. Believe it or not, that was a slip. I did not do that on purpose, but it's... You know what it is? It's that meme that's going around that has Hillary's face with Trump's hair. Anytime I ever start trying to say Hillary Clinton, it automatically comes out Hillary Trump. It's really scary. But anyway, so one of the things that has been completely transparent is the fact that most of the folks that support Bernie Sanders cannot stand Hillary Clinton. And I gotta say, I really don't blame them. You know, and I have a bit of a speech from Cruz that we'll be playing in the last half of the show. After the New York primary, he made a speech in Philadelphia, and since, hey, he was in Philadelphia and the station's in Philadelphia, I thought it was only appropriate that we spend at least part of the show talking about the speech that he made while he was here. But hey, what can I say? Now, that being said, back to Hillary. The simple fact of the matter is, the song that we just listened to speaks volumes, because she doesn't have the first idea of what it's honestly going to take to be commander-in-chief. She couldn't even handle the security for her embassies when she was the Secretary of State. How is she going to possibly be able to handle being commander-in-chief? She doesn't have the mental acuity for it. She doesn't have the ability to think on her feet. Look, she gets flustered really, really easily. Have you watched her? Have you watched her body language on the debate stage? Because if you haven't, then you need to start really paying attention to how she stands, where she stands, what her body language can tell you if you understand how to read it. She is not ready for this. And I have to say, at one point in time, as in back in 2008, if I would have had a choice between Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton, I would have chosen Hillary Clinton. But not anymore. There are too many things that have gone on behind closed doors in the Clinton family. Some of them I cannot talk to you about because I've been sworn to secrecy. Believe it or not, I actually know someone who used to work very closely with that administration. There are things that happened when he was still in Arkansas that nobody's ever supposed to know about. And I can't say anything about them because I've been told I can't. Because it would put someone that I know's life in jeopardy. But it's not like we can't draw our own parallels and realize the type of people that we're dealing with. I mean, Bill Clinton recently went to an island where it was known that you could have relations with underage girls on that island. Bill Clinton has had countless affairs. Hillary has had affairs. At least one person that Hillary has had an affair with has mysteriously disappeared. I mean, these are not good people. But that's been my complaint about this election cycle all along. We are about to take two of what might as well be the equivalent of mafia families and put them head to head for the presidential election if something doesn't change. And no matter which one of those two people win, America loses. Look, maybe you don't like Cruz. Maybe there's something about him that annoys you. Maybe it's the fact that a lot of times he sounds like a robot. But let me tell you something. As someone who can basically remember almost everything I ever read, it's really hard to always sound engaging when you're basically recalling something that you read in a book. And the thing about Cruz, at least from my understanding, is he has what is considered an audiographic memory. It's kind of like a photographic memory, but instead of remembering everything that you see, you remember everything that you hear. And it's why there are times when, even though he doesn't have a speechwriter or teleprompter or anything else, that he sounds like he's reading from cue cards. Because he probably is. He's reading from something that he's read in his past, and he has the ability to do full recall of it. So should he learn to jazz that up and make it more entertaining just because he knows that certain people in the demographic find that unappealing? Because there are times when he sounds like a robot? Look, and I'm not even going to get started on this whole affair thing because, I mean, come on. If you guys looked at some of the stories the Inquirer has put out over the years, and we're going to hold them up as the bastion of, well, anytime there's ever been any type of a political scandal, the Inquirer is always right. Well, there is always the exception that proves the rule. And look, I don't know if Cruz had these affairs. And I will say the same thing on this station that I said on my home station on Tuesday night. I don't care. What Cruz may or may not have done behind closed doors with consenting adults is none of my business. As long as he upholds the Constitution after he puts his hand on the Bible and swears to do so, I don't care what he's done. And before anybody freaks out, let's not forget that just a few short months ago, before Ann Coulter all of a sudden realized that their boy was an idiot, her words, not mine, she was the one that said she didn't care if Donald Trump had abortions on the Oval Office floor as long as he built the wall and dealt with immigration the way he said that he was going to. So it's not like this is a very far stance. The only difference is I'm not advocating the taking of someone else's life. All I'm saying is if he did do those things, then that is honestly the same stance that I took during the Clinton administration. What got Bill Clinton in trouble wasn't the fact that he had the affair. What got Bill Clinton in trouble was the fact that he had the audacity to stand up in front of Congress and bald-faced lie to them. What he should have done is the same thing that I'm telling you needs to happen now. If and when Bill Clinton crossed that line and Congress called him up, he should have said at this point, because this is an impeachment proceeding, I am exercising my Fifth Amendment rights. This is a private matter between myself and my wife and will be dealt with within our family. If he had done that, I wouldn't have been able to say a word and wouldn't have been railing against him for all of these years because he stood there like an idiot trying to make it sound like he was smarter than everybody else in the room. And if Cruz did those things, then it needs to be a private matter between him and his wife. It really is that simple. All right, so we really do need to take a break at this point. When we come back, though, we do have some Cruz audio and a few other things in the hopper to talk about. This is America Off the Rails. You're listening to us live on WNJC 1360 AM out of Philadelphia. I'll be right back after these commercial messages. All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business, and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you, so make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve, as they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
Folks, you are listening to America Off the Rails, now a proud member of the Conservative Commando Radio Network, right here on WNJC 1360 AM, the powerhouse of Philadelphia. Now, I have a question for you. Do you ever find yourself maybe not near a radio? Maybe you're traveling and you don't have access to the internet? Did you know that the Conservatives Commando Radio Network can now be heard on a telephone network by calling 832-999-1199 anytime, day or night? That's right. You can hear every show as it's broadcast live, even if you're not near the radio or an internet, because, everybody nowadays has a phone in their hand. But here's the good news, though. As soon as we go off the air at night on the Conservative Commando Radio Network right here on WNJC, you can listen to every show that aired for that day as many times as you want just by dialing that number. It'll be a live feature every day at 12 p.m. daily, and it'll be exclusively for the shows that run on that network. But until the next day when it goes live again, they're going to run them over and over and over again. So now you have on-demand access to the Conservative Commando Radio Network right on your phone. How cool is that? Just remember, the Conservative Commando Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hey folks, Slickery Trigger here. I'd like to take a minute to tell you about Rebel Road Tactical. As a defensive pistol instructor, I've had the opportunity to observe many different holster designs and configurations. And one thing is clear. Many of my students won't carry a pistol. Or worse, they'll carry one without a holster at all. Holster designers aren't making holsters for normal people. It seems that most holsters are either an expensive piece of gear designed for Rambo or a piece that doesn't fit or function the way real people need it to fit and function. So, like any good Texan, I decided to learn to form Kydex and design one myself, one that would fit the needs of average people. The result is the Rebel Road Tactical CRT Modular. The CRT stands for Carry, Range, and Training. Its thin and lightweight curved design minimizes printing and is adjustable to fit just right for superior comfort and function. Check us out after the show at rebelroadconcealed.blogspot.com.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program, America Off the Rail. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
Calls without a pen and telephone, the bypass all you lost. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. We're into the second half of the show already. My, oh my, where did the time go? Hope everybody's having a great Thursday afternoon out there in Radio Land right here on WNJC 1360 AM out of Philadelphia. I'm getting the stink eye from the producer because we took the break really, really long, so we've got a lot to talk about and not very much time to get it talked about in. So without further ado, I did promise that we were going to play a snippet from the speech that Cruz made on Tuesday night right here in Philadelphia. Now, it was the clip that I found was about 13 minutes. We've cut it down to about 5, but that gives us enough time to listen to it and then gives me a few minutes to be able to talk about it. And then somebody's going to have to bring out the hook and drag me out of here because, there's shows coming on after us here. So, what can I say? It's not like I can run long or anything. But anyway, without further ado, here is about the first 5 minutes and 12 seconds, roughly, of the Cruz speech in Philadelphia on Tuesday, the 19th of April.
I'm so excited to share with you what America has learned over the past few months. And it has nothing to do with a politician winning his home state tonight. It has everything to do with what we've seen in the towns and faces that have been weathered with trouble, joblessness, and fear. It's what we've learned looking at the factories that have been shuttered and the hearts that are closing. We have learned that America is at a point of choosing. The media will say it is about choosing a president, but it really isn't. Our real choice is personal, and every generation must make the same choice. Will we continue to live in the past with what we know no longer works, or will we move forward to a new and better place? The people in state after state have made it clear. They cry out for a new path. This is the year of the outsider. I'm an outsider. Bernie Sanders is an outsider. Both with the same diagnosis, but both with very different paths to healing. Millions of Americans have chosen one of these outsiders. Our campaigns don't find our fuel in bundlers and special interests, but rather directly from the people. The wide-eyed youth of any age that haven't given up on the hope that tomorrow can and will be better. Ronald Reagan and Jack Kennedy were outsiders. They both represented a whole new vision and vibrancy, a new generation of ideas. Jack Kennedy looked forward instead of back to the first half century of World War. He knew that America could dream and build if we were set free. Not tanks for war, but rockets for exploration. Reagan looked out to us, the most powerful force for innovation that the world has ever known. There we found new tech pioneers like Bill Gates and a young Steve Jobs. They had vision and the freedom to build a new world that at the time only they saw because they were free. They challenged the way and changed the way that all of us live, work, and interact. Now it's our turn. This generation must first look inward to see who we really are after years of being beaten down. Years of being told we couldn't, shouldn't, or wouldn't. This generation needs to answer a new set of questions. Can we? Should we? Will we? Are we still those people? Those dreamers and doers? Are America's greatest generations in our past, or are our best days yet ahead? We must unite the Republican Party, because doing so is the first step towards uniting all Americans. The question is not whether all Americans can or will agree on a majority of issues all of the time. The question is whether a majority of Americans are hungry to rally around a set of principles larger than any single issue that a politician may use to divide us. Tonight, I'm speaking to you from Philadelphia. It's natural, when we talk about our nation's earliest days, that we focus our attention on the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And we can learn a great deal about a path forward by focusing on the passionate disputes and disagreements among our founding fathers. Differences that were put aside only because of the weight and consequences of the foundational principles they sought to proclaim and the price to be paid if they failed to rise to the task. Today, as Republicans, we agree on a lot. And sure, areas of lesser agreement exist as well. But on the fundamental question, are we satisfied with the current direction of our country? We speak with one voice. I call on you, as JFK did in the 60s, and as Reagan did in the 80s, to chart a new American journey forward, one that isn't led by me or anyone in Washington, but by you and millions others just like you.
All right, so there you heard it, folks. That was an excerpt of the speech that Cruz gave in Philadelphia on Tuesday the 19th, shortly after his loss in New York. But let's face it, everybody was pretty sure he was going to lose that one. Let's not forget his comments that led me to find this.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain!
And the story illustrating the masturbation booth in New York City. So, his New York values comment. So everybody, it was a foregone conclusion Trump was going to win his home state. What hasn't been a foregone conclusion is the fact that in pretty much every other closed primary, he's been getting his rear end handed to him. So that being said, I'll be curious to see how everything comes to fruition before we get to the convention, because at this point I don't see a clear path for any of them to get to 1237. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I have to admit, in some ways I'm a little disappointed. I wish Kasich would have manned up, sucked it up, taken his toys and went home when he realized there was no way that he was going to win the election. But I've said this now for weeks. He's had to have been being promised something from the Republican establishment to be basically ruining whatever other career he could have possibly had in politics to hang in this long, because there's no way at this point that if he does not find a way to walk away with something, that he's going to have a career left any longer. And he understands that. So I'm curious to know what it is that he's been offered. But I guess probably we will never know. Now, as we wound down to the last few minutes of the show, there is another topic that I wanted to talk about that has been making the news now for a while, and I have to admit it's been getting a little more scary. So at this point, I think we're going to go ahead and touch on it for the last few minutes of the show here, and that is the whole bathroom issue in North Carolina and Mississippi and the rock stars and the other public performers that are canceling shows and doing public cries of outrage and yada, yada, yada. Look, I have a problem with this, and it's not going to be why you think, but we'll get to that in a minute too. My biggest problem with this is if it is okay for someone who is providing a public service, who has charged people money to provide this service, to turn them away based on their own personal preference or belief system, how is it not okay for cake bakers to do the exact same thing? Look, I don't care whether you want to stop or make bakers do whatever you decide you want to make bakers do. But if you're going to make someone who owns a small business, who is providing a service, violate their principles, then by God, everyone should have to violate their principles. I don't care who they are. And the simple fact of the matter is this isn't even anything that is boycott worthy. So what? A state has issues with somebody putting on a dress so they can go into a ladies' room. I have a problem with that. Now, I will tell you this much, and I'm a little younger than some of our listeners, so I hope I don't offend anybody, but I'm just going to say this in the nicest radio way that I can. If you get to the point where you've gone through the process so that your plumbing matches the drapes, then I don't care what bathroom you use. But if you're basically just throwing on a costume, then no, you don't have any right to go. If you are a man wearing a dress, I don't care if you want to have somebody call you ma'am. If you haven't had the reassignment surgery and actually become physically a female to the best of your ability, then you don't have the right to use the bathroom that is marked for women. It is a pretty simple matter. If your plumbing matches, then do what you got to do. Because look, I don't care if you put on a dress. If you still have the twig and berries, then you're a man. If you don't like that, that's not my problem. When did the world get so crazy that all of a sudden now we have people that are 1/10 of 1% of the world's population now dictating terms? I mean, before I went on air, my wife sent me a story talking about, and she actually found this the night before, but wasn't able to send it to me until now, talking about the fact that Target has now decided that they are going to let people use the bathroom that they personally relate to. Look, can we just have common sense for 5 seconds? This is exactly what all of us that were up in arms over the recognition of gay marriage, we told you this was only going to be the first step. We told you that and this is the way things happen. You give a little bit of room, you give a little bit more room, and all they do is they keep taking and taking and taking and taking. Now, I have a problem with this because I was a single father who was raising a very small little girl. There came a time when she was 5, 6, 7 years old that if we were in public, I wasn't necessarily comfortable taking her into the men's room anymore to go to the bathroom. So I would stand outside the door of the women's restroom. Now, I understand this show is archived. It plays in multiple places even after it airs here. It's heard on iHeart, Stitcher, TuneIn, all over the place. I'm still going to tell you this for the record. If someone was dressed as a woman and walked into the bathroom with my 5, 6-year-old little girl in there by herself, I probably would have punched them in the face. Can we not see the issue here? How is it that we cannot, that we refuse to see the issue here? I don't understand what has happened in our country. This is all the same thing. We're back to a presidential election cycle where if things go the way the vast majority of the voters seem to want it to go, we're going to be deciding whether the Corleone family or the Stromboli family, sorry, I couldn't come up with another mob family name, but you know what I mean. 2 different, basically mobbed up families. I mean, come on. If anybody doesn't know this about the Trump family by now, you're not paying attention. There have been countless articles that have talked about the different ways that family is connected. There have been countless articles about the Clinton family showing the different ways that they've been connected throughout the years. May not be exactly the same way, but they're still basically glorified mobsters. And we're about to turn the country over to one of these two sets of people. While at the same time we're arguing over whether or not people that feel like they're a woman for 5 minutes on a Tuesday should be able to walk into the women's restroom. Or a woman who feels like she's a man for 30 seconds on a Wednesday should get to walk into the men's room. What the hell? I mean, I don't even, for all of these people that are like, I just want to go to the bathroom that I most relate to. This is exactly what I feel like.
Just when I think you've said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
I mean, it really is that simple. How is it? Oh, but Rick, I'm a girl on the inside, Rick. I know I look like this big prickly biker dude with all this hair everywhere on the outside and all these big bulgy muscles and I ride a Harley, but man, when it comes down to it, what you don't know is under my leather chaps, I have this really I'm not taking that conversation any further, but you understand what I'm talking about. This is insane. That we now live in a world where people are forced to make cakes that completely violate their own religious beliefs. And yet rock stars, pop stars, comedians can all go, oh, you don't want to let men in dresses go into the ladies' room? Well, fine, I'm not playing your concert then. Now, I will admit, on a previous show, there was an interesting point that was brought up, and it was brought up by someone that I do believe I follow on Twitter, actually, but it was someone who goes by the handle Right Wing Nutjob. Don't forget, we've also managed to get Michael Moore to stop sending his stuff here. Had I known that was all it would take, I'd have lobbied for this law years ago. And he actually is a resident of one of the states in question. So, what can I say? Other than the fact that the world has gone completely crazy. And we are watching it happen right before our very eyes. All right, so on the way out the door, I want to remind you guys of something. Look, at this point, if you can hear my voice and you're listening on a car, you're listening on telephone, you're listening on the internet, however you're hearing your voice, if you're hearing it right now and you own a business, you have the ability to advertise here, both on the America Off the Rails radio show, several other shows that are part of the Spark Radio Network, and on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. If you're interested to get details about how you can make that happen, it's pretty easy to do. All you've got to do is shoot me an email at rick@k90. I'm sorry, hang on, wrong one. That's for folks that want to advertise on the station that I'm general manager of. For the network, if you want to advertise everywhere else that we syndicate, and possibly even on K98 Talk, all you got to do is shoot me an email at ricky@thesparkradionetwork.com. We have plenty of different pricing plans available. We have internet-only plans. We have internet plus the Philly stations plans. We have basically plans that can put you on everywhere that we broadcast, including all of the different syndication affiliates that we have available. And that does include the up-and-coming, cross your fingers, please God, let us sign this paperwork station in Dallas. Just saying, we're a couple of weeks away from having to pull the trigger on that, and we are still looking to fill a few spots for sponsors and advertisers. So if you own a business and you are in either the Dallas, the Philadelphia area, or you are not tied to brick and mortar and you want to increase your exposure, we can help you make that happen. Look, folks, it's simple. We are a small network trying to increase our footprint. We need money to make that happen. We are as hungry as you are for your business to grow so that our business can grow. So let's work together to make that happen. And we can do that on WNJC 1360 AM. We can do it on several internet affiliates, including Canadian Talk. And God willing, cross your fingers, hopefully soon on KLIF 570 AM out of Dallas, hopefully starting the week of May 1st. But we will need help from those of you willing to support us and help us grow so that we can help you grow to make that happen. So if you want to help us with that, then all you need to do is this really simple thing. Get on your computer, go to your email, type Ricky at thesparkradionetwork.com. Tell me what kind of business you got, what you can afford. We'll see what we can do to make it happen. We may not be able to get you on Dallas depending on what you can afford, but at this point, we're looking to build as many sponsors and advertisers as we can because Dallas is just the next step. We have other markets that are courting our shows, and we want to be able to put them everywhere that the folks want to have us. But to do that, we need your help. So if you like the programming that we put on here, whether it's a part of the full Conservative Commando Radio Network, whether it's through the Spark Radio Network, whatever the case may be, all we need for you to do is let us help you grow so that we can work together to not only bring conservatism back to America, but also put a little bit of money in everybody's pocket. Come on, we're all capitalists here. Let's make this happen. All right, folks, on that particular note, I have got to make way. We got another show coming in hot and heavy right behind me. Do want to say thank you to everyone who takes the time to tune in with me here every Thursday afternoon right here on WNJC 1360 AM, the powerhouse out of Philadelphia. I will be back with you live next week. And God willing, if you have time, tune in tonight. I actually have a guest coming over on the K98 Talk Home Station. So tune in live over there, and I'll be back with you next week. Take care. God bless. Stay vigilant.
Screw you guys. I'm getting him. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.